Hey, it's Lee. Welcome to Business Problem Solved. Today, I have the immense pleasure of chatting with Dino. Dino is a LinkedIn legend and a fellow Chorleyite as well. How are you, Dino? Are you all right?
I'm okay, mate. Yeah, good to be here. Thanks very much for having me.
No, honestly, the pleasure is all mine. I can assure you. I can assure you. So I've been really looking forward to this because I think it's fair to say we've not known each other for many years, and we were put into contact via somebody that lives in Bristol, Pecan, the Laughter Man.
Indeed.
But we actually live in the same town.
We do. Just round the corner.
We do indeed, yeah. We do indeed. So this feels a bit bizarre to be doing this over Zoom, and we could have just done it in the pub. But for the benefit of everybody else, this is how we've got to do it. This is how we've got to do it. So for those people who don't know who Dino is, who is he, and how has he got to sit in that? Is it a faux leather seat?
It's not. It's. I would say it's a partial leather. It's got like a leather back to it, and the rest is like a mesh. a very comfortable mesh that airs out my buttocks. So very happy with that. Yeah. So how did I get involved in LinkedIn, or where did it all begin? So I've been involved in LinkedIn probably right from the very start. I'm on my second profile because I didn't feel that the network that I had in my first profile was relevant to my business today. But after I left the forces, I got into sales and recruitment and worked in sales and recruitment for 20 years or so, something like that. And yeah, it was good. I worked in the UK and Hong Kong, from recruitment roles to headhunting roles and so on and so forth. And throughout that period of time, I'd always used LinkedIn as a means of generating leads for me in business. And so the last role I held was with a company called Sift, which was part of Indeed.com. And after losing that job during COVID, I'd always had like this side hustle, which is Influxio. And so I essentially, as a LinkedIn coach, I help people with everything from profile optimization to lead generation and content creation. And so, when I left and when my time at Indeed was no more, I kind of had two choices. I could go and get another job or throw myself into my side hustle, which was Influxio. And so I opted for the latter. And this is what I've been doing since January, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love helping people achieve more using the amazing platform that is LinkedIn.
I love that. When you started your story then as well, you mentioned the forces. How long were you in the forces for?
I was in for 6 years, 6 wonderful years. I often refer to it as the best years of my life. Mrs. doesn't like it when I say that, yeah. but it was amazing, and I always said when I left. In fact, when I left, I remember the lads saying, "You do realise that you're leaving the family that loves you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do, but there's other things I want to do in life, So, yeah. But to this day, we all still remain really, really good mates. I think I mentioned before we kind of jumped on air that I met up with one of my brothers from another mother this weekend, and just kind of chewed the fat and drank a few beers and got a bit merry and talked about the old days, and it's great, and we're always there for each other. We're always there for each other through thick and thin, and it is very much a brotherhood. So during the forces, I was a physical training instructor. I was also part of Milan Platoon in the Worcestershire and Sherwood Foresters Regiment. Milan Platoon, if anybody doesn't know what that is a platoon that blows up tanks. So we used to use, we were an anti-tank platoon essentially. So that was my job. I used to blow tanks up for a living, which is a little, some people say it's very, very different to what you do now. And I said, well, you could say that, but I still am laser targeted on my audience, and I know that's what I tend to try and bring into the mix. But yeah, it's a far cry from what I used to do, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, it is. It's quite a leap, that, isn't it? So I guess, what lessons did you learn in the forces or what did you take from the forces to help you in sales and to help you in what it is that you do today?
Well, the biggest one I think is discipline, and sticking. You know, when you say you're going to do something, you actually follow through and you get it done. But there's one thing that I've always been. I don't think this is necessary for the forces. I've always been very motivated to achieve, no matter what I do. And so, you know, when I think about my days when I used to be a PTI and you know, running for my regiment and things like that, I was always very competitive. So there's a competitive edge to me for sure that I think helps me in the job that I do now. But yeah, but I've also always been very creative. So again, from a content creation point of view, that's particularly helpful. To a certain degree, profile optimization requires certain elements of creativity in order to be able to kind of put your banner together and how to display your featured content and so on. So yeah, that all of those kind of things kind of come into the mix in the job that I do now, for sure.
Yeah, so when you sort of talk about being motivated and always being motivated, I find, so for me, I've kind of coasted through large chunks of my life, and it's only probably the last 3 years where I've been more motivated and focused than ever before. When you spoke about motivation, then you said you've always been motivated. Have you always been motivated, or is there a time in your life which given you this kind of like kick to do?
Yeah, when I say I've always been motivated, I think what happened, I didn't have the best upbringing, not by any stretch of the imagination. This is not me trying to put over a sob story now. This is just a fact. So I grew up with alcoholic parents, and my mother she slipped into a deep depression to the point where she was admitted to D Block, which was a psychiatric unit at Kidderminster Hospital, and she was there for many years of my childhood. As a result of that, and seeing, you know, not really having much, and with having a single parent father who couldn't actually manage myself and my two sisters, what actually ended up happening is I ended up getting packed off to my aunt and uncles. It was at my aunt and uncles that I was sexually abused as a child by my uncle, and that was the catalyst, because that happened when I was 13, and I kind of carried that from 13 through to 18 when I joined the army. And I think what happened was I realized I saw an escape route for me to get away from everything. And that's why I've got a huge amount of respect for the army. And that's because not only did I go from a boy to a man in a relatively short period of time, but I suddenly recognized that actually all that shit that had happened to me, you know, years ago when I was 13, wasn't any of my fault. I'd carried it around like a burden, like I'd done something wrong. And it turned out that actually, you know, I was not at fault in any way, shape or form. So it kind of allowed me to put the lid on something and move on. And I think when I look back at my childhood and kind of not having much as kids, I remember, for example, my dad cutting beer mats up and putting them in my shoes because they had holes in, you know, because he couldn't afford to get a pair of shoes for me. So and it was all these little things that happened, like going to school with, you know, tomato sauce sandwiches because we had nothing in the cupboards to put into the sandwiches. So when I look back on all of that, that's definitely where my motivation comes from, because I don't want history to repeat itself. I certainly don't want my kids to kind of go through anything like that. So yeah, so, you know, you asked the question, where does my motivation comes from? It definitely stems from that childhood, I think.
Yeah, and if you could give yourself a piece of advice that you know now and say to the 13-year-old Dino, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh, good question. I would say, I think I would say, like, don't be too hard on yourself. Don't bottle things up in the way that you used to. And hopefully you can tell now by the way that I'm speaking now, I'm very honest and open about that childhood. I have no guilt. I don't carry any guilt around anymore like I used to. I hid it. I never told anybody. I never spoke about it openly. So I would say, yeah, don't bottle things up. And particularly in this day and age where, you know, not just male suicide, but suicide in general, like the figures are climbing through the roof. I think one of the main reasons, though, for guys, that the male suicide rates are so high, and particularly with my brothers from other mothers in my regiment and other regiments in the forces, they struggle because they bottle things up. They try to be the tough guy all the time, and you can't be that tough guy all the time, because we're human. You know, we're human. We need to vent. We need to get these thoughts and feelings out, for sure.
Yeah, I think we've only known each other for 5-6 months now, so whatever it is. But I have to say that you are one of the most genuine, honest, open individuals that I've ever met, and I think that's a testament and a credit to yourself and your character, Dino, if I'm honest.
Cheers, mate.
It's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you. And this is just the start of the conversation, and hopefully the time and conversation that I get to have with you. So I guess, how easy was it going from the services to sales?
It was. There's a story behind that. So, like there is with most things in my life, I literally just kind of took to it like a duck to water, because I didn't recognize and didn't know there was any pressure related to sales. So what happened was, I'd actually got a job down in London when I left the forces. I was doing security work for Mohammed El Fayed, and I split up with my ex down in London and moved up north because my best mate who I'd been in the forces with lived in Preston, and he said, "What, you can come up here, mate." He said, "I'm working for a company at the moment. It's a recruitment company, and I'm the manager of the branch." He said, "So you can come up here." He says, stay at my house till you get yourself on your feet." He says, "And I'll try and get you a job at my place." And that's exactly what happened. I got offered a job as a junior recruitment consultant. I kind of embraced the opportunity with both hands. Within a year, I'd kind of gone from junior recruitment consultant to senior consultant, and then I was being offered a job as a manager. So the progression there in a year had been really, really good. But I remember when my best mate sat me down for the first time in the office, and I was sat on a driving desk, so I had to, my job was to try and get HGV clients on board for drivers. And he said, "Right," he said, "what you need to do, mate," he said, "you need to like call through this list of people and just see if you can book appointments with regards to our services." So I was like, right, okay. So, and there were two girls sat in the office with us at the time who'd obviously been there for quite some time. And all I remember was I jumped on the phone and started ringing through this list, and I had a bit of a script that I had to follow. I started ringing through, and I was looking around as I was having the calls and the conversations. And I saw my mate pointing over at me and smiling. And I saw the two girls like this with their mouths wide open, because they couldn't believe that I'd never done like the job before. They couldn't believe that I'd never done recruitment or sales before, and I think it was because I hadn't attached any kind of pressure to that kind of a role. I just saw it as I'm just picking up the phone and speaking to people.
Yeah.
I didn't look at it like sales or like how most people talk about selling as such. So yeah, so I found it quite easy, if I'm honest.
Yeah, no, good, and it comes across because you're quite a human person, and that human element I think comes across really strongly in about you as a person and your approach to everything. Because I want to just touch on LinkedIn now, because that is where you spend your time. It's what you do. It's how you help people. How do you help people, Craig Dean, on LinkedIn?
I'd say I hate the word expert. So, but one thing, I think the definition of an expert is somebody that's spent over 10,000 hours of immersing themselves in something, right? So they say you don't become an expert until you've done that 10,000 hours. I know that I've gone way above that when it comes to profile optimization. And obviously over the years, LinkedIn has changed a hell of a lot. But because I'm always in amongst it, and because I'm always looking at it what I always say to people is, most people, I'd say 99% of people on LinkedIn have got a resume style profile. And so I'll say to them, and as I've said to you, Lee, before, what is a resume for? And they say, it's for getting a job. And I'll say, okay, so what are you on LinkedIn for? And they're like, okay, so I want to get clients. I'll say, okay, so you've got the wrong tool for the wrong job. And so what I specialize in doing, and what I'm an expert in doing, is taking a look at someone's profile, going through it with a fine-tooth comb, and orientating that profile into more of a high converting landing page, so that when people visit your profile, it's less of okay, so this is what he's been doing for the past 10 years, and more like, kind of, I don't know, it kind of, I try to get it so that when someone looks at your profile, they can see how you can help solve their problems. So they can see the value that you bring to the table, and how by having a chat with you or working with you, that you know, you can provide immense value or high perceived value to them. So that's the main area. And the second area that I help primarily is just lead generation, helping people to generate both inbound and outbound leads from the platform in a hyper personalized way, without being pitchy, by teaching people how to start a conversation, how to build rapport, how to nurture relationship, how to identify pain points, and then ultimately get them off of LinkedIn and into a one-to-one, much like this on a, you know, on a Zoom call or something like that. And it's then there and then that the selling can then take place. But what I see all too often on LinkedIn is people send like their Calendly links to people to try and entice them off of LinkedIn, but they've not done any discovery. So they're going into a meeting without even knowing whether the person that they're having the meeting with is in any way interested in what they've got to offer. Yeah. So, and as a result of that, they end up wasting a ton of time involved in conversations with people that are never going to buy from them. So I kind of teach people and coach people through how to start that initial conversation, and then guide it in a direction so that you take people from cold to sold. And that's it. And it's not rocket science. It's a really basic thing. People seem to forget how to do it on LinkedIn. They can do it if they go to a networking event and they're face to face. They know how to walk up to somebody and start a conversation. Because what you don't see people doing at networking events is, it's very rare that someone will walk up to you at a networking event and just start pitching you. They don't do that, because that would be rude. But for some reason, they think it's okay to do that on LinkedIn. It's almost, they forget that the person on the other end is a person and not a pound sign. So it's kind of reminding people about that human element, and reminding people about what they do when they first meet somebody for the first time, because that, when you connect with somebody, that's what you're effectively doing. Yeah,
I love that. I think what you've just made me think about then and realize is that at a networking event, it is the person is in front of you, the human is in front of you, so you strike up that human relationship. When you're on LinkedIn, it's people turn it into a numbers game, so they go, okay, I'm going to message 100 people or 1,000 people, because it's a lot easier to do that and just hope that something sticks.
It's the spray and pray approach that everyone kind of hates people doing on LinkedIn, and that's what it's like my mission to stop people from doing that on the platform. Again, I know I've got an army background, but I call it like the sniper approach. Be really targeted in who you approach, be really methodical in that approach, have a structure, have a not a template as such, but have a structure that you follow in order to get people from that initial connection request being accepted into a meeting. The person has got a genuine interest in the solutions that you've got to offer, because you've already identified the problems that you have and the solutions for those problems.
Got you, perfect. So when you started talking about who you are, what you did, and you said LinkedIn expert, immersed yourself, and when you said the word immersed, I instantly thought about your LinkedIn banner and your picture, because you're I guess submerged in water.
Indeed, yeah.
What is that? Why? And how did that idea pop into your head, and how does that link with you?
First of all, I want to put out a massive shout out to Danny Townley, Bannerman Dan, because I approached Danny and I had this kind of crazy concept that I ran by him, letting him know that I wanted to incorporate my profile photo with my banner. I wanted the two to become one, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be so that I looked as though I was underwater. But I wanted to do it in such a way that I managed to get the message out there of how I help people. So I wanted my value statement to also integrate with the banner and the image. And so, yeah, I think we've successfully done that. Danny did a fantastic, job of the graphics, but the story behind it is that my mum and my auntie used to take me and my sister and my cousin to Weston-super-Mare Beach. Mm-hmm. It's where we used to go for holidays. We'd stay in a caravan, and this one time we went out, myself and my cousin, and we swam out into the sea, the muddy sea, I used to call it, because it's horrible. But I wasn't the strongest of swimmers. I was only young. If I remember rightly, I was probably only about 8 or 9 years of age. And we were swimming in the sea, and I got cramp. We just eaten lunch, and I got this really bad cramp in my right leg. I couldn't kick my leg, and so I started going under. And I was literally breathing in water and drowning for all intents and purposes. I was actually kind of dying, and I was like flailing my arms all over the place. And my cousin, fortunately, wasn't too far away, and she was able to paddle over on her lilo, and she kind of saved me. She stopped me from going under. We went back to the beach, and that was that, or at least I thought that was that. What then happened was that I developed aquaphobia. So for a large part of my life, I was scared of getting into water and not being able to touch the bottom, and I was scared of my head going under the water. So it was really tough for me to be able to kind of remain calm in water. So as I got older, I wanted to join the forces, and I kind of mentioned it to my mum and dad, and they were like, "Well, if you want to join the forces, you're going to have to kind of get over this fear of water that you've got." So my dad started taking me to the swimming baths. And it all started off with like splashing water over my face, getting me used to the water, going in deeper and deeper, going in to like chin level and putting my chin under the water. And all the time that this was happening, by the way, I can't explain just how scary it was for me. Like, it would make me feel physically sick, how the fear would be that intense. But over time, I think it was over about 5 or 6 weeks of exposure therapy, I suppose you'd call it. I just kept going deeper and deeper. My chin would go under, my mouth would go under, my nose would go under. And before I knew it, I was like putting my face in for a second, and then 2 seconds, and 3. And eventually I was able to overcome the fear of water that I had. And I ended up joining the army. I passed all my swimming tests with, like a breeze, with no problems whatsoever. So I thought, when I was launching my business, I knew the importance of a personal brand. I knew the importance of having a story, and I thought it would be great to try and show the confidence that I've got now of being in the water. Hence why when they told me when I found out about the LinkedIn cover story, I was actually speaking to Nick Rayburn. And he was saying it'd be so awesome, if you could have a video of you under the water, because it not only would it look really great, and it's kind of different and kind of stands out, but I don't think Nick at the time understood the story behind the brand, so to speak. But it kind of resonated with me, and I thought, you know what, that would be awesome. Yeah, why not have a video cover story? So what I did was I just got into my hot tub one day with my phone. Yeah. I went underwater, and it took me ages. It took me absolutely ages. I was like, I think it was about 2 hours or something. I was like wrinkly. I was like really wrinkly by the time I got out, but I couldn't quite get the angle right. Every time I went underwater with my phone, the warmth of the water, because it was a hot tub, the button for the, where I press the button to film, it would sense the warmth of the water and think somebody had touched the button to stop the filming. So it took me ages, but eventually I managed to get a couple of videos, stitch them together, and then was able to have that as my cover story. And a lot of people go, "Oh my God, how do you hold your breath for so long?"
Yeah.
But it's 2 videos stitched together.
You just spoiled that for everybody.
The truth is revealed.
It is indeed. It is indeed. So I guess because you help so many people on LinkedIn, and you have a number of conversations with people about LinkedIn, what do you see as the top 2 or 3 things that people should be doing different than what they already are doing? Or what's the top 2 or 3 bits of advice that you find that you give to people, apart from what you said before about the reason for your profile is not a CV? What in addition to that, what else?
So are we talking just about your profile now, or are we talking about LinkedIn in general?
Oh, shall we have 2 for each?
Okay, all right. So thanks, make it even harder for me.
Yeah.
All right. So the first thing, I think people underestimate the power of a powerful banner. People comment on my banner every single day. Every single day, without question, I will get a message of some description or a comment in the comments that mentions something about my banner. What my banner does effectively is keeps me memorable. I know everyone talks about it as an advertising space, as a billboard, and it is absolutely that. But the biggest mistake that I see people make with their banner is that they don't format the banner correctly. So what they'll do is they'll put text on the banner, but then when you look at their banner on a phone or on a desktop, a lot of the text has been covered by the profile photo because they've not optimized it for both devices.
Yeah.
Also, the text that they tend to put on, they'll put it on and it'll be too small, so it won't be, again, optimized for mobile. You must consider the size of the text for mobile devices. So when they put lots of, I don't know, contact details and things like that on the banner, and you can't even see it on mobile. So my biggest tip for your banner is make sure you've got a solid value statement in as fewer words as possible that indicates to your ideal prospects exactly how you can help solve their problems. Because when people look at your profile for the first time and see your banner, they make their mind up within 3 seconds as to whether you're a good fit for them or not. It's that 3 seconds that you need to grab their attention. So if you make that headline all about them, then it's more likely to resonate, and they're more likely to then go check out the rest of your profile.
So
second thing.
So sorry, just on that, I guess just to clarify, so it's about making a value statement that resonates with your ideal person that's visiting your profile, but then also you said about making it memorable.
So making it memorable, I'm talking about, like, if you look at my banner, it keeps me memorable because it's a bit wacky and it stands out. Other ways that you can do that is just with a clever use of graphics. I can't recommend enough the importance of getting a banner designed professionally. You can jump on Canva. If you've got a tight budget, you can create your own banner, but you're probably not going to achieve as much with that as you would do if you went and saw someone like Danny, who really understands kind of the mechanics of a banner and what you're trying to achieve. So that's the first thing on the banner. Just being memorable could be something as simple as like having striking colors, in the background. That's another area that people get wrong, is they'll go with, I've seen banners and they're white. So there's kind of no separation between the banner and the white section below the banner. So it just looks like loads of white space, which looks really strange to me. Another point is profile photos. A lot of talking of backgrounds, profile photos that I see that have a white background. It's so easy to change the background of your profile photo. All you have to do is use a little tool called remove background. If you type in remove background into Google, a free tool pops up called remove.bg, and you can basically just upload your current photo into that tool, and it pulls the background out to leave a transparent background. You go into Canva and you just drop your profile photo onto a colored background. The beauty of that is that instead of when you look at your profile photo on your banner, it's really big, right? It's about that, it looks about that big, doesn't it? So when you, but then when you comment on people's content, it's tiny, it's really small. And so if you've got a white background that blends in with the white background of LinkedIn, it doesn't stand out. Guaranteed, if you go and check through now and look at like the comment section, the people that will stand out are the people that have got like a bright pink or a bright yellow or a bright green background.
Yeah.
So dropping a coloured background behind your profile photo will really make you stand out in the comment section and in the feed.
Yeah, love it, love it. What other tips have you got for us?
Well, the tips, Rob, commenting, obviously massively important and massively underrated.
Yeah.
I think it's John Palmer that talks about comments, you know, being content in their own right, and it's so true. Another tip for you though, with regards to headline, is make sure you optimize your headline, not just for your profile, but for the way that your headline appears when you comment. Because although you've got about 150 characters or something like that in your headline, there's a lot less characters that will appear when you comment on someone's content. I think it's something like 75 characters will appear when you comment on someone's content on a desktop. That's what you see in the news feed.
Yeah.
On a mobile device, I think you only see about 30 characters. So what's really important in your headline is that you optimize the first bit to make sure that people can grasp a little bit about you and understand the benefits and the value that you bring in that first bit of your headline. So yeah, optimize your headline, not just for your profile, but for every device.
Yeah, love it, love it. No, thank you for that. And I guess what is next for you, Dino?
Well, I've got a target for the end of the year, and I want at least 100 clients. I'm sitting on about 40 right now. So there's still kind of work in progress of things that I'm doing to make that happen. But yeah, what next in terms of LinkedIn and the business, or in general?
Yeah, both actually. So yeah, because I think equally we spoke about you and we spoke about LinkedIn, both. So I'd be really keen to understand what's next for Dino the man, and what's next for Dino the LinkedIn legend.
I don't know, mate. I think I'm not like one of these people that plans my life and has a 5-year plan and all that sort of thing. I just want to kind of just enjoy life and make sure I provide for my kids, make sure they're happy, make sure that they have the life that although I had a happy life, I don't want them to go through some of the bad stuff that I went through. So it's making sure that they're all right, really. I want my clients to be happy. So I enjoy building relationships with people. I like this. I like, you know, like, again, like you alluded to it before, and you mentioned that, you know, the power of LinkedIn, it's everyone talks about it like it's the power of LinkedIn, but it's not. It's the power of people.
Yeah.
Like I had a client who happened to live in Bristol, who recommended my service to you. We then had a chat. It turned out that you lived in Chorley around the corner. We went for a beer, and we keep banging heads every now and again and coming together and having a bit of a laugh, having a chat, and whatever. So yeah, what's next for me? I don't know. I really don't know. I just want to keep doing my thing. I want to keep being real and just helping people where I can. And if I can make a living out of that, then great. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not someone that has like massive ambitions, really. Just want to, if I could reach financial freedom like most people want, where I don't have to worry about the bills, then yeah, great.
Yeah. No, perfect. No, thank you. What are you having for your tea?
I'll have to ask her indoors about that.
Or does she cook for you every day? Do you know? Is that...
She does, mate. She does, yeah. On the most part, I train in my spare time. I love. I used to be a very keen runner. During my years in the forces, as I kind of mentioned before, that I used to be a PTI, physical training instructor, and so over the years, I've ran a lot of miles, and that's taken its toll, especially when you're carrying weight. So I took up bodybuilding of all things. So back in January, I started training in the local gym. The guys down there kind of got me into bodybuilding. So I'm right at the beginning of that journey, but it involves me eating quite well. So, you know, like I think it's 2,500 calories a day that I eat at the moment, which is, it's a fair bit. But yeah, I'm very fortunate to have a girlfriend that we've been together for 8 years, and she's just amazing. She proper looks after me. So, you know, if I say that I need to have XYZ calories throughout this, XYZ calories on this day, then she'll rustle things up to make sure that it fits in with my nutrition plan. So yeah, I can't grumble. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and whatever you're having for your tea tonight, it'll be a surprise for you, but it'll be something that's on the plan.
It'll be something with high protein and high carbs.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be something like chicken and rice, or chicken and potatoes or something.
Perfect. If people want to know more about Dino, where would they go? What would they see? What would they find?
So if you wanted to work with me or find out more about me, I live and breathe LinkedIn, right? So I am on that platform day in, day out. I know people drop links for, you can email me, you can send me an email to craig@influxio.com. But the place where you're always going to reach me is through my LinkedIn inbox. Totally appreciate that not everybody is connected with me. But you know, I can be a bit selective sometimes about who I connect with, because I think it's all about having a quality network as opposed to a large network. So if you can't connect with me, then you can reach me on my phone number, which is 077 39080646.
Wow, so many different ways. And I think actually, Dino, you're the first person to share the phone number on the podcast.
Open book, mate. I would say I'm totally open. So yeah, as long as you know, if somebody was calling me and I couldn't be bothered to answer, then I wouldn't answer.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
No, amazing. I just want to say, Dino, thank you so much for your time this afternoon chatting, getting to know a little bit more about you, how you help, and offering that value as well. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you over the last few months, and good luck with everything that you've got going on.
Always a pleasure, never a chore, mate. Thanks very much for having me.